And welcome to our special edition of Totally Irreverent Conversation on Being Be Jew Change the World.
But you change the world. I mean, why not?
Yeah, or light up the world or whatever.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Actually, this conversation, I have no idea where it's going. But
neither do I.
Yeah, we're going wherever it's going. We're going, and we're happy to be there because this is part of being you without hiding, which is us showing up more and more in the world. And we've chosen to play with the Being You tools from the phenomenal book that Dr. Dane, let me go to banners. Dr. Dane here wrote a phenomenal book called Being You, Changing the World. So we decided to kind of, got this sense of humor. It's a little irreverent. So we called it Be You, Change the World, just for shits and giggles. So welcome to play with us. My name is Rachelsilber, but I see I'm covered up by the overlay I made. So, hey, how does it get even better? You still know who I am. And I'm joined by my phenomenal friend and fellow Being You certified facilitator and access consciousness certified facilitator and a 3-day body class facilitator and a medical doctor and also a Jew. Hey, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, welcome, darling. How you doing?
You and Rachel Silber, who is also certified facilitator, Being You facilitator, a mom, and a lot of titles, and also a Jew. But again, what is Jew? It's another definition. Just like a doctor, like a facilitator, so what if we don't have any definitions? And yet, what if a definition is just a fun thing that we be?
Well, it's kind of like Halloween or Purim or anything. You just put something on if you feel like it.
Exactly. It's just a role or like some character we play just for fun. And what if it is fun? Instead of that seriousness, oh my God, I'm a Jew and I've been persecuted. Oy vey.
Oy vey. Oy gewalt. I cannot believe it. What do we do in Jewish holidays? It's funny because we're always like, they've persecuted us. We survived. Now let's eat.
And drink. Don't forget the alcohol.
not that much. It depends on the particular holiday. We have the drinking holidays in general, where you're supposed to be so drunk that you can't tell the difference between the villain and the hero. Things like that.
The hero, which is like right and wrong.
Exactly. And no polarity. So you're like, yes, I'll get whatever.
And what if we don't need alcohol just not to have that polarity?
Yeah.
What if it's just simple, good, evil, right, wrong?
It is what it is. It's just an interesting point of view.
Yeah. Then we can actually be aware of what is.
Yeah.
When we don't have those points of view of right and wrong, good and bad, moral, amoral, black and white,
and not only that, but this is culturally accepted and this isn't culturally accepted, or this is what everybody sees as, this is the quote unquote norm, and then this is fringe, this is excluded, this is separate, this is different. So it's rather interesting. My daughter had a last day at school, like they had their great debate, and now they're off for, the holidays, the winter holidays, and they get back to school in January. And they gave every kid a little gift. They gave them a mask so that they can, stay with the mask. Classes. There you go. Here you go. Here's a mask and a Santa hat. And she's like, what the hell am I going to do with this? I don't wear Santa hats. So she gave it to somebody else. But she said they could have made it something neutral. They could have made it something inclusive. But no, they gave her a Santa hat. I've gone out Christmas caroling with, high school choir, whatever it was, junior high choir. when I had, when I was growing up in Houston. So I'm like, no biggie. But she was like, but this was like excluding who I be.
Yeah.
But what if you agree, huh, Annabeth? Gardeners are people too. It's funny. She decided exactly then to regale us with her barks. So it was very, very interesting for her. I guess first experience that she'd particularly noticed that not everybody necessarily celebrates the same thing, and yet we're not really different at all.
No.
And so, yeah, all those definitions that you were mentioning, that we hold on to, this is better than that, or this is different than that, or, make a big noise about whatever, and then someone else is included or not. They're just things that we take on. And when we're willing to be an allowance of ourselves, of everything and everyone else, it's a different kind of energy and a different kind of experience altogether. So
for me, it's actually even more than that, because when we start kind of like trusting ourselves and be ourselves, it automatically goes into, oh, hi, hola. Sorry, I'm ADD, so I'm like looking at the comments. So when we become an allowance of ourselves, everybody else, the whole world lights up.
Yeah.
The whole world becomes...
Say that again. That's a mic drop, baby. Say it again.
I don't remember. What did I say?
Something about being yourself and the whole world lights up?
Yeah, when we are being ourselves, when we are in total acceptance, allowance, call it whatever you want, because a lot of modality, different people call it different. But when we totally love ourselves and be ourselves, when we are kind of like, okay, that's me, and no judgment. If we don't judge ourselves, we cannot judge anybody else.
Thank you for saying that. Is there such a sense of, I've noticed anyway, and I was born in Israel. I'm kind of like a freaking mermaid.
Yeah, you are like
I'm like from everywhere. So I was born in Israel, but I was raised outside of Israel. I was raised in the United States, in different parts of the United States I'd lived, and I'm married to a Canadian. We've got people in our family from all over the planet. It's really just a mixed bag. I'm living in Guatemala, living in Texas, growing up in Texas, and all sorts of mixed stuff. So I don't hold on to a specific, I'm this. Right? So I'm very I'm willing to play with everything, and there is no like shame in my world for any of it. And I've seen, even in in access classes, some of our friends, there's this apologetic for being Jewish. And to me, it's like, use anything and everything you are to your advantage, whether you have an accent, or whether you're Jewish, or whether you're tall, or whether you're short, or whether you're whatever. Use it all. Be you. Don't be ashamed of anything. Include everything and use it all to your advantage. I mean, what a gift it is to be you in the world, and to delight the world and light up the world with the uniqueness that you are, whatever it is. And even if it changes in the next 10 seconds, and have fun with it.
Because in reality, throughout all the lives that we had on this earth, on different planets, on everywhere, we've been and done so much and different things, and we've been different things. We've been Jews, we've been Catholics, we've been all of it.
Yep.
And yet it's like, just like an actor playing the roles. He has to de-roll after each life, but some people don't de-roll. They continue playing the same role over and over again. It's what you choose. And neither one is a wrongness or rightness. But people go into the almost like a, not almost, it is a righteousness of I am a Jew, or I am
Or
a
I am a Christian, or I am a Muslim, or I am a, I don't know, Latino, or I am
right.
whatever.
And the righteousness of that is what actually separates us. It's not that we are different. Yeah, we are different. We each chose a different role to play in this life.
A
And
different flavor at the moment.
right. So some people are white, some people black or colored or whatever, like politically correct in this 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And being persecuted in Russia as a Jew, I can say, yeah, I've been persecuted. So what? I was kind of like diminished and abused and verbally, emotionally, all of that. Uh, Luckily, I was not the one physically abused, but there was a couple of people that were physically abused next to me. And I actually went in onto defending them and
Kicks
breaking
some
them.
ass. Kicks some ass when necessary.
Yeah. And what if we be in allowance of who we are? And then everybody else, also an allowance of everybody else. How much the world would be different.
We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones with a wacky sense of humor, and we can have fun together.
And there is also It's a Small World
Yeah.
from the Disney, where I love that ride because it actually shows different cultures and we're all together. It's one world.
Yeah.
This planet holds so many cultures, and yet we separate. How can you separate from each other when we are living on the same planet?
Well, that floored me. That floored me. I still don't get how people believe that there's a flat Earth anyway. If you look at any photos from space, this beautiful, glorious green and blue, amazing marble with, essences of white going around. And you just look at this place and there's no borders, there's no delineations, there's no flatness. There's not like that. It's this beautiful space for everyone to inclusively play. And I love that. Consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. Starting with everything. And so if in consciousness we can include everything, including whatever we've chosen to be in this lifetime, and we can choose again every 10 seconds, whatever it is that works for us. When we can choose to be ourselves fully, whatever it is, and not hang our head in shame or try to hide ourselves away in one way or another. This is being you without hiding. This is being the difference that you be. I mean, all of us that have found the tools of access consciousness, everyone whose path I've crossed or conversation that I've had, we've all been kind of, I don't know if you'd call it the black sheep in the family, because black is so like toned down.
About the colorful
the
sheep.
colorful sheep, or the, we're definitely like the square peg that doesn't fit in the round hole.
Unicorns.
The unicorns, the dragons, we're just the different ones. And that's the thing, if we're willing to celebrate whatever it is that just our outlook on the world, like our sense of humor may be different, our willingness to break out into off-key karaoke at any point in time, or into just whatever it is that we be. If we can,
I like that comment.
yeah.
The Earth is flat like a DVD, and the Bermuda Triangle is a circle in the middle of the DVD.
There you go.
I love it. Absolutely. And that's the truth for some people.
No, she's making jokes.
Yeah, no, I know. And
very, very
how
funny.
much are we actually like? I love that, because how many jokes actually people believe in. I'm talking about that. all of those limitations are just another joke.
Yeah.
What if we look at that as jokes? What if we actually laugh at the limitations, the obstacles, the problems, the separations? How much more fun can we have?
At all the stories that we've been telling about
This is
ourselves.
a joke. That's a joke.
That's I so love when any of you guys go to one of Dr. Dane's classes, and he's got one that's open to anyone and everyone. This week it is a
You changing the world.
Being you changing the world. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
A Being You Changing the World class. I think you can find drdanehere.com/being you class or something like that. But it's probably also in the Being You Adventures page, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, yeah. And the class is just a beyond, where you start going into being you, basically.
But with humor. Because in Dane's classes, yes, you may have like your mind blown and all this quote unquote, oh my gosh, it's serious stuff, but it's all play too, and there's so much humor and there's so much delight, and that's the lightness of being, and the light and the joy and the laughter and the irreverence and the not taking anything and everything seriously, and actually getting that this can be a much bigger joke if you're willing to see the humor in every situation.
And the funniest thing, I remember my mom, when she was alive, she said, going to Dane's classes is pretty much like going to a comedy club.
For 3.5 days.
Yeah.
How does it get even better than that?
And how much can we laugh even at ourselves?
That's the first place.
What I found, without sense of humor, living on this planet doesn't make any sense.
No. So Helen, I have a question for you. As a doctor, this is something you should know.
You mean like a MDiety?
As an MDiety, yes. As an MDiety is a good Jewish doctor. What is the most common disease transmitted by Jewish mothers?
Oh yeah, that one. The guilt.
There you go.
The guilt, the mother's guilt.
The
mother's guilt, the Jewish mother's guilt. It's actually the different diseases. It's just like the flu is not just the flu. It's a COVID, it's coronavirus, it's a bird's flu, it's a SARS, but guilt is a guilt. But mother's guilt is special.
Oy vey. That's you for life. And it's really funny. I don't know when Jewish mother syndrome sneaks up on us, because I don't remember choosing that. It's all those things we pick up from everybody around us. So it's really funny. And how does it get even better?
And by the way, Jewish mother is also Italian mother and Catholic mother, and
if you're a mix of those, OMG, if you're a Jewish Italian mother or whatever.
Oh God. Oh God.
World. But that thing about humor and actually being willing to be yourself fully is something that's just so beautiful. Whatever it is that you are, whatever it is that you're choosing to be, that willingness to fully be yourself and not, because I remember, okay, so I'm going to aside. One of the times we were in Rome for certified facilitator training, I remember we crossed from the beautiful hotel there where the events are, the Parque dei Principi, and we would walk across to the park. And there were a few of us walking together, and this happened, a couple of years in a row, where we walked with different other facilitators that were there in the same training. And we made a joke, like, would it be funny to do be Jew, like, being Jew or whatever, just for shits and giggles. And they're like, oh no, what would people say? What would people say? I mean, that's really uncomfortable.
And another thing, people find out that I'm a Jew. That's
like,
and,
oh
no, because in old times or even now, Jews can be killed.
no. But that's the thing that I'm saying. If you're willing to be yourself fully and not have to hide for anything, when you're living unapologetically, when you're living with the brilliance you be, not by, I'm a Jew and you have to do this for me, but just like when I'm in wherever I go, I say happy holidays generally, because I don't assume I know anything about what the person is celebrating or not celebrating.
Exactly.
So little things like that, but I'm not afraid to be me. And if somebody tells me Merry Christmas, I just say thank you.
Yeah, and say Merry Christmas.
Merry, and I'm happy to be merry every single freaking day, because I'm a facilitator. I make silly of everything, and I'm willing to be happy. And any excuse for a party, any excuse for a celebration, any excuse for delight is wonderful.
Yep. So what can we because we are facilitators. So with humor, what tools can we use during the holiday? Because holidays, not for everyone, can be easy time. Because some families are very serious, very kind of like heavy, and there are people that we don't like, or there are people that we love, and some people we don't want to be around.
And I'm just going to say, during Hanukkah for 8 days, we're supposed to eat food fried in oil. It does get heavy after a while. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And in some families, you pretty much fried right there at the party too. Not just
but wait, I got another one for you. I just looked up just a few Jewish jokes prior to getting on. Why don't Jewish mothers drink?
Why?
Because alcohol interferes with suffering. Sorry, I just had to go there.
Absolutely. And so what if during those holidays we would be silly, no matter if we're Jew or not?
Who cares? Just
cares?
enjoy everything.
Yeah. What if we actually be ourselves and just look at everything as a joke? Any insult we get, any judgment we get, oh, that's funny. Instead of like, oh my God, they're judging
I'm
me.
so ashamed they're joking about me.
Yeah. So cool. That's funny. Thank you. I like that joke.
That's where one of my favorite tools comes into play. I posted it down below. If we recognize that there's, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be, there's nothing we have to take seriously. There's nothing we have to take personally. It isn't all relevant. It tells us more about what the other person is doing, what the other person is being, how they're functioning, and not personally about us. And everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Now, it's so there's 10 million thoughts all at the same time.
That's actually because what's interesting, I like what you just did, because your brain totally like went blink. That's what that phrase does. Nothing is opposite of what it appears to be, and everything is opposite of what it appears to be.
My husband knows what to have me say to get me to shut up.
Because that's actually, if you're in a situation when people are crazy and families are crazy, trust me.
Really? I couldn't tell.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe just my family is crazy. But when you are in that situation, if you just silently say that phrase a few times, believe me, just like Rachel just now didn't have anything to say anymore, because it's like, what? It just like reset on the computer. You push that button and everybody's brain just resets to something that may be more functional. How much more fun can you have with people after that reset?
And with yourself. I mean, why just with people? Play with yourself too.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when you're going nuts, just say that. And you can say it aloud or silently.
Or even turn it into a song. Tap dance it, baby. You can have so much fun during the holidays just doing that. And it really takes the gravity out of life. And when you're willing to lose the gravity, you can have a lot more lightness, joy,
Yeah,
ease, and everything else.
yeah, actually, if you lose gravity, you can levitate.
That's true too. That would be very interesting. I like that.
You can fly.
You could
I can
fly.
fly.
I like it. I was speaking, I have two very religious brothers, and it's so funny because when someone becomes very, we didn't grow up religious. Actually, my father grew up religious, but then World War II broke out, and they, got shipped off to Siberia, and all of the fun stories there. So he was not so religious growing up, and we didn't grow up in a religious household. But now both my brothers and their families are religious, and so it's very funny because our side is more, they've returned to the answer, which is funny because in Judaism, or Jewish people anyway, you got 10 people in a room, you got at least 20 opinions, at least. Yeah. And, generally the art of interruption is this Jewish thing where they'll, interrupt with the 20 different
with their hands too.
all at the same time. It's just part of what we do, It's very funny. But we've, rather than going back to the answer, we've been more in question. We love the tools of access consciousness. We love to ask questions about everything. I mean, for crying out loud, or not crying out loud, for laughing out loud, we're infinite beings, all of us. And sometimes with one of my brothers in particular, my older brother, he has really, really cool conversations with me. Like we get into things in a different level. So it was really, really cool to speak with him last night. We were over at his place in Antigua. We lit candles together. We had conversations about religion and about people and about everything. And he told me a story that I'd heard, and I'm probably going to bastardize it because I'd heard it ages ago, but it was about this poor woman who's, there's my daughter, Nestle. She's also being Jew, changing the world. So there was this woman who, I don't know, her husband passed away. Everything was taken away from her. The kids were taken off to do like indentured labor, to be able to pay off debts. And the only thing she had was some frasks, not even, I think, and a tiny bit of oil left in it. And she went to someone and asked, what is it that I should do here? And, I had heard the story ages ago where she was told to just pour of that into the other empty frasks, and then they will fill up with the oil, and she'll be able to sell those in the marketplace. But my brother said, actually, that it's a metaphor for you, for being you, because the essence of the oil is the essence of your being, the infinite being that you be. It's who you be. And with that, you fill anything and everything that you be in the world. And then when you're being that, the light spreads, the oil spreads, the being you spreads in the world. There's no hiding. And whatever you do, being you, it's different. Like things are easier. You're not functioning from the distractor implants of blame and shame and guilt and all the other goodies that we get there in that little basket that we're handed when we show up on planet Earth. There's this ease, and when because I've recognized that when I took the Being You classes, when I've been in the Be Different, Stay Weird program with Dr. Dane, there's just this like relaxed being.
Yeah.
When we relax into being ourselves, whatever the fuck it is, it makes no difference. It could be Jewish, it could be Christian, it could be a freaking reindeer, it could be the puppy in the corner, it could be whatever we be, but when we're willing to be that totally, there's such a delight in living and a delight for everyone who crosses our path as well.
And it's about when we are being us. It's not just like some foreign idea. It's actually when we are born, that's what we are.
Yep.
We are being us. The kids, until they start growing up and the adults say you cannot do this, you have to do this. Oh no, that's not appropriate. That's when we start losing that expansion, that sense of abundance, that sense of ease that comes with being. Because, like you said, with the miracle of Hanukkah, the oil lasted the whole 8 days.
Oh,
And, yeah.
but some people might not know the story. Maybe we should tell them the story.
Yeah, because the story of Hanukkah is interesting because people had only oil to light up the menorah, which is kind of like for the holidays, because they won the war or
I'll take you back a wee bit. I'll take you back. When Alexander the Great conquered Jerusalem, conquered Israel, and on the way to conquering, I don't know, what huge part of the known world, he allowed whoever was there, the culture of every country that he was there, didn't force them to be Hellenized. But once he passed away and his generals came in and the country was divided, you had the Ptolemaic Greeks in Egypt, etc., and then you had the Seleucid, something like that. I'm bastardizing the word. In Syria, you had a different dynasty that came through Alexander the Great's generals. So one of those dudes, Antiochus IV, decided that Jews had to be Hellenized, essentially, become like the Greeks, and anything that was logical and rational and justifiable was okay, but anything that was of a spiritual nature, something that was not that you could reason and justify, that was not okay. And so one of the things that he had done in the temple in Jerusalem is he erected a statue of Zeus and had pigs sacrificed there, desecrated the whole temple. And one of the things that used to be lit in the temple always, 7 days a week, for years since the temple was first built, is they had a menorah, except it didn't have
candles. It had oil.
It didn't have candles, it had oil, and it didn't have 8 branches, it had 7 for each day of the week. And it was lit all the time with, was it like extra virgin special whatever?
Olive
oil. Yeah.
Yeah, it was olive oil because olives grew in Israel in the ancient time as well as now.
Yep. And it was only like extra virgin, so the first pressing of the oil, etc. And most of the flasks and everything that was there that was kosher, they said it doesn't make logical sense for it to have to be kosher. So they broke all those ceramic, pots that held the oil there. And when the Jews did end up winning against the Greek army, so it was like a military victory and a spiritual one, they came back into the temple. And Hanukkah means rededication. So when we say Happy Hanukkah, we're talking about the rededication, like resetting again, as Helen said.
The world.
Totally. It's like reset, time to relight, time to clean up, time to start over, like do over, that didn't work, let's do it again. And so they found a tiny, tiny little flask that was still originally sealed. And it was tucked in somewhere. The Greeks hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
It survived. And so once they cleaned up everything, they used it to light up the menorah that was there in the temple. And then they had to go.
It was supposed to last only one day.
And it would take several days travel by, they didn't have cars at the time, right? So they had to walk or camel ride or, I don't know, donkey ride or whatever they did over several towns over, where they had the olive groves and they had to press the oil. And then they had the journey back to Jerusalem to be able to use the oil. So the whole process would take about 8 days. And
instead of like lasting only one day, that oil, that little flask, lasted the whole 8 days, which is kind of like magical. If we
kind of.
Well, it is magical. That shows that the world has magic if we ask for it.
Yeah.
This is about just ask and receive, because they did ask for that oil to last as long as possible, and it did.
Yeah.
This is kind of like one of the examples to show that magic exists. And magic actually is stronger than logic.
Yep. Well, there's a will, there's a way. It's phenomenal. And I'm actually, like, it's funny. Haven't had bars exchanges, kind of, going off on a different topic. I haven't had bars exchanges in the space of possibilities that I had, because all the centers were closed. Everything has been shut off for so long, and we just had windows installed there. So tomorrow, which will be not quite the last day of Hanukkah, but almost the last evening of Hanukkah. But tomorrow during the day, we're gonna have a bars exchange. I haven't had one since March, so I'm super excited. So where there's a will, there's a way. Magic can exist if we're willing to be the invitation for it into the world. And it's
so how much can we create when we actually being the magic we are? Because this is about being. And even with Hanukkah, like Jews chose to be Jews instead of Greeks. That's another
maybe they like the fried food. I don't know. Or the bad jokes. Could be.
The magic, they didn't want to give up magic. The magic of being who we are. So it doesn't matter we are Jew or Christian or Muslim or Hindu or any other like esoteric religion or spiritual movement or color. It's about being. And if we're being, then we are magical. When we are doing, we're functioning in this reality. We're functioning as pretty much physical being in the physical world that doesn't have magic, which is not true. That's another joke that we believe. Because the physical world is just a big joke. There is no physical world. Because when we look under the microscope,
it's all space.
It's all space and energy. And that's what magic is. You manipulate energy to create different space.
Right.
And what if we can manipulate all of the space, all of the energy? Our consciousness is the one that plays. Yeah. It's playing. So let's play together and be totally irreverent. And let's
totally. And that's one of the things that I love about Hanukkah is that it's all about light. Technically, this is not the Jewish Christmas. We don't have Hanukkah bushes. I love to decorate because I love lights. And my aunt growing up in Texas was not Jewish. And so we helped her with a Christmas tree and hanging up stuff and all that. And so I love lights. I love decorations. I love fun. This house generally, this year we didn't have a party, but generally would be, covered in stuff for Halloween or what. I just love playing and decorating. And inside, I have lights up and like dreidels hanging. Dreidels, by the way, in case you didn't know, are these things that we spin. You've got some there on the picture. We just play this when we're, around the candles, and it's kind of fun. But if I spin it, it'll fall off. But primarily, the decoration for Hanukkah and the message of Hanukkah See, it spins. It's kind of cool. So, and this reminds us of the magic, because each side of this top, I don't know if you could see, has a different letter. This one was made in Israel. So there's a nun, which is for the word nes, or miracle. There is a gimel for, the gimel is for gadol, which is big. So a big miracle. There's a hey for haya, it happened. And this one is Israeli. So it has the letter pay for po, or here. But the foreign versions have a different letter. They have this letter, shin, sham. A great miracle happened there. But the thing is to recognize, one of the gifts of Hanukkah is to recognize that magic and miracles happen where we are, where we're willing to be ourselves and to spread the light. So one of the things we do with Hanukkah, we begin with only one light, with one candle. I'm not lighting them up now. We light them up at night, but you know, you get the concept. We begin with one light. We use the shamash, the server candle, and we light the candle. So we're being a light, we're lighting, and we're inviting the light to grow every single day, adding yet another candle, adding yet another light, adding yet another possibility. And every day we keep adding, and we keep growing the light. And that's one of the, and it's done publicly. Most Jewish holidays are celebrated rather privately. You don't find people, doing public displays of whatever in Judaism and most of the other holidays. This one is very much inviting the world to more light. And so they'll have, I don't know if nowadays with COVID, but generally you'd have public candle lightings. Tomorrow night here in Guatemala City, we're in a parade with, I think, 20 other cars or whatever that are going to be driving around with a menorah on top throughout the entire city, just for fun and spreading the light. But it's that being you,
even more interesting, because menorah is supposed to be in the window.
Yes.
Like in the evening, like when it's dark, so everybody can see that light, and that light kind of lights up the world.
Exactly.
So and the more we be that light.
Yes, that's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
Once you get the little menorah there on the beach, you change the world.
So what if, and you don't have to be a Jew, you don't have to be any religion or anything. Just be a light, and just light up you as a being by being who you are. And if we all be us and light up the world, because a few years ago, Access was like Gary was talking about 10,000 people in consciousness, and how much we can change the world if there would be 10,000 people in consciousness. And a few years ago, we achieved that. And it doesn't mean that it was an Access. It's like around the world.
Yeah.
People who became conscious. And then in the last call, actually, we read through that list, and everything actually came to be.
Would you be willing to read it? Do you know it? Do you have it? I have it.
Oh, read it. Yeah.
Oh, I love these 10 asks. The more we ask, the more the world delights, lights up, changes. Miracles are natural. All we have to do is just get out of the way and allow them. Ask for them to show up, be them, and allow them. So the 10 asks were: a world without separation, true justice, stewardship of and with the planet, statesmen to the fore and politicians to cease, consciousness infecting the whole world, a world of possibilities, not limitations, actualization of the 9 trannies, our magical abilities, true environmental awareness, embodiment as part of the joy of being, and riches and wealth for those that are willing to have it.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I
What
love that.
would it be like for us to really embrace, to choose, to allow, to be all of those, to be that grandness, that infinite being that we truly be, and to embrace that and step into more of the magic and the light and the delight.
And
that we-
the intensity of us.
Yeah.
It's actually, I'm doing a class in January, Intensity of Being, 1-day adventure.
I love that.
So
I love that. Is it's not having to hang your head in shame, dim your light, or anything else. And when
yeah.
I was so rudely interrupting you before, I was starting to sing, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine." And that's the thing. What if we just go through our day, every day, being that little light? It doesn't even have to be little. It can be freaking huge. But if we're
It has to be huge because we are huge. We are infinite.
I love it.
So let's all be infinite as we are. Let's drop our barriers and expand and just be that space.
I like it.
And I think with that,
I
love
like
you all. Happy holidays.
Yeah. Happy
And
holidays.
and you can find us on Linktree.
Oh yeah, wait. I have one of those on
Yeah.
here. There we go. And hopefully
So-
we get to see you on the Being You Changing the World class with Dr. Dane this week as well. It is starting Thursday, I think, the 17th, whenever the 17th. 2 more days. You got 2 more days. Register and have some fun with Dr. Dane and all of us. We'll all be there with bells on. And they'll be laughing, and it'll be terrible because you're not supposed to be happy. Or
No, not allowed in this physical world, but we are not physical. So let's have fun with that.
let us have fun with that. Thank you for joining us. Yes, we know this was different. This was weird. This was us willing to show up and go, yeah. How does it get
Thank
even
you,
better?
everyone. Thank you so much for joining us now or in the future. And
arrivederci. And
arrivederci.
Thank you.
До свидания.
До свидания, arrivederci, lehitraot, chag sameach. Enjoy happy holidays. And
Happy holidays.
be all of you. Keep shining.
Mhm.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you, Rachel.